Welcome into Road to the Draft, powered by Microsoft Copilot. In today's episode, senior writer and editor Scott Smith recaps the NFL Combine and highlights a few prospects whose draft stock might have been impacted.
Well, we've come to one of the most important stops on our road to the draft, and that is, of course, the NFL Scouting Combine, which just wrapped up last Sunday. As usual, some guys probably helped their draft stock. Some guys may have raised some questions about where they belong on teams' draft boards, and we thought a good place to start this discussion would be to revisit a couple of prospects that we actually started this road to the draft with, and that would be Ohio State linebacker Sonny Styles and Texas A&M edge rusher Cassius Howell. Now, Sonny Styles was already considered a pretty good bet to go in the 10 to 15 range at worst in the draft, just based on what he did at Ohio State. But then he came to the Combine and absolutely blew it away. First of all, he measured in at 6'5" and 244 pounds. So this is a big linebacker. But even at that size, he ran a 4.46 40-yard dash, which tied his teammate Arvell Reese for the best at that position, with a really nice 1.58 10-yard split, which emphasizes his acceleration. But that wasn't the end of it. He also had a vertical leap of 43.5 inches and a broad jump of 11 feet 2 inches. These are like 99th percentile type of numbers. Now you see the buzz around Sonny Styles maybe being a top 5 pick, maybe being the highest drafted off-ball linebacker since the Bucs took Devin White in 2019. I could easily see him going to the Giants at 5, maybe Washington at 7, maybe even Tennessee at number 4. But the important part for us as Buccaneer fans is that it seems highly unlikely after this Combine performance that he's still going to be around at pick number 15. Now, we go back, we take a look at Cassius Howell, the other guy we talked about in episode 1. Really productive pass rusher from Texas A&M, and he did fine in his testing. In fact, he ran a really good 4.59 40-yard dash with a 1.58 split. He was fine in the other drills as well, but the main story about Cassius Howell that came out of the Combine was that his arms measured in at below average for his size and his position. And there are reports that there are some teams that just won't consider drafting a player high in the draft if he doesn't meet certain measurables. Now, I'm not sure that the Buccaneers would be one of those teams because, as we saw recently, they drafted both Kalijah Kancey and Luke Goedeke, both who were prospects who had the same thing in their scouting report about their arms being shorter than average. We've seen Luke Goedeke develop into an above-average right tackle, and Kalijah Kancey, while he has had a little bad injury luck, and therefore that's limited his production a little bit, when he's been on the field, it's been clear that he can rush the passer at the NFL level. So I'm not sure that would be a problem for the Buccaneers. Cassius Howell could still be there at number 15, and the Buccaneers might be interested. Of course, there are a lot of other players that you might call risers and fallers during the week at the Combine. We thought we'd take a look at a couple of them. First of all, the risers, I'd start with Oregon safety Dylan Thieneman. You saw in most mock drafts coming into the Combine that sometimes he snuck into the back half of the first round. I think after this performance, he's probably a good bet to go in the first round. He ran an absolutely ridiculous 4.35 40-yard dash at 6 foot and 201 pounds. And then he had a vertical jump of 41 inches and a broad jump of 10 foot 5 inches. So here's a player that really helped himself, I think, a lot at the Combine. Also, Eli Stowers, a tight end from Vanderbilt. Everybody believes that Oregon's Kenyon Sadiq is the number 1 tight end, and Kenyon Sadiq tested really well, but so did Eli Stowers. In fact, right after Kenyon Sadiq put up a vertical leap of about 43.5, Eli Stowers had a vertical leap of 45.5 and a broad jump of 11 feet 3 inches, both of which are all-time Combine records for the tight end position. He wasn't quite as fast as Kenyon Sadiq, but a 4.51 40-yard dash is pretty good. And finally, among the guys that helped himself, David Bailey, maybe a top 5 pick even before coming to the Combine. But there's a lot of agreement that the Jets are probably going to try to get an edge rusher at number 2. And there's disagreement of who the number 1 edge rusher is. Is it David Bailey? Is it Ruben Bain of Miami? Is Arvell Reese an edge rusher? And if so, would he be the number 2 pick? Almost 6'4" and 251 pounds, he ran a 4.5 40-yard dash. Vertical jump you see here, broad jump, both very good. Could be the guy at number 2 to the Jets. You know, NFL teams will tell you these testing isn't as important as all the tape that they watch. But a couple guys to highlight here. Lee Hunter of Texas Tech, you see him a lot before the combine, late in the first round in mock drafts. Could be in question a little bit when he finished with a 21.5-inch vertical leap and an 8 foot 4-inch broad jump. Both of those are really low, especially for his position and his size. So maybe that might not help his draft stock. We have Carnell Tate, who the Ohio State wide receiver. We all know you can't go wrong drafting Ohio State wide receivers, and he still could be a top 10 pick. He might be the first receiver off the board, but he ran a 4.53 40-yard dash, which doesn't sound that bad, but this was a really fast group of receivers this year, and that was towards the bottom of the list. And there's other guys in the running for that first receiver off the board. Mekhi Lemon of USC, maybe Jordan Tyson of Arizona State. Carnell Tate still could be number one. It's worth noting that he did run the 40-yard dash, where both Lemon and Tyson did not.
That's going to do it for us on this edition of Road to the Draft, powered by Copilot. We'll be with you each week leading up to the draft, breaking down different storylines and prospects, so we'll see you next time.